welcome once again to the Movies and Stuff Show. We are coming to you live from the suburbs of New Jersey and Missouri. My name is Dan, and joining me is a man who won the same amount of Oscars this year as all black acting and directing nominees did. Abe.
You've lost your goddamn mind if you think I'm going to say anything about that.
Congrats. Congrats on all of your Oscar wins this year.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I feel like I've earned them.
Well, at least you're still a better vapor than Leo.
I am. He's only got one Oscar.
One more Oscar than you.
That's it.
Yeah. That's because he got raped by a bear.
Did he?
That's the whole movie, right?
Why are you spoiling the movie for me?
You haven't seen the bear rape scene?
No.
Oh. It's not actually rape, it's just assault.
Oh. So, we're talking about black actors and rape now, yeah. This is a fucking minefield you put us in, idiot.
How we start off a show.
Yes.
You want to transition to the Oscars then?
Yes, let's talk about the Oscars.
I didn't watch them.
Oh, you didn't?
No. I watched like a total of 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I saw Chris Rock essentially eviscerate Hollywood, and I had mixed feelings on the whole thing. Really.
Really?
Like, I did. I will get into that. But then I also saw Sly Stallone lose Best Supporting Actor to someone from Bridge of Spies. Did you watch them?
I watched some of the Oscars, yeah. I mean, I watched, I caught the monologue because this show's just kind of the monologue and that's it. Right. I thought Rock did a pretty good job with the monologue, man. I thought the way he acknowledged that the Academy and Hollywood have race issues, but focusing on the Oscars is pretty meaningless as far as real problems go. I thought the show, from what I saw, was pretty good. I mean, because they dived right into the controversy. They didn't pretend it like it wasn't there. But I didn't watch all 3 hours. I saw some people got fatigued by that joke over and over again.
Yeah, my mixed feelings on it is like, you know, you're making light of this situation. It's not a situation to make light of. And I know it's like Chris Rock is the host, so they felt like they could do it. And I don't know how much leeway these hosts have in writing the material, their monologues and stuff like that, and how much control the Academy actually has over what they say.
Right.
My guess is that the Academy has a lot of control over what they say. So a lot of these jokes, they of course approved. So it's them like, ha ha ha, yeah, we're racist. It was mixed feelings about the whole thing.
I think
it's a bunch of old white people voting.
Yeah, it is. But as far as race in America goes, to focus solely on the Academy Awards is pretty trite. I'm just gonna. It's a symptom of something so much bigger. That
I totally agree.
Yeah, and if we can't joke about something, then as far as a method to get to the truth, we've lost.
But here's my counter to that. I think it should be joked about on, the late night shows and on like John Oliver and our show. We should be able to joke about this. Okay. But for Hollywood to joke about it themselves, it takes some of the thunder away. They should be reaping the visceral kind of anger. They shouldn't be able to make light of it. Hollywood shouldn't be able. Everyone else can make light of it. They should.
Oh boy,
that's my feeling on it.
Maybe you're right. I don't know. I'm always the person that feels like everything's on the table or nothing's on the table. Yeah, that's just my own personal opinion. And we're already getting some feedback. Ronan says Chris Rock's speech is friggin' hilarious. So
it was funny. I don't disagree. It was funny.
Yeah.
Let's continue down a minefield. Let's keep doing it. Why not? Let's talk about Kings of Egypt.
Oh, all right.
Because I'm feeling like continuing some race talk is a way for us to not get in trouble.
There you go. Yeah.
I saw that Alex Proyas.
Yeah.
Proyas. He's the director of Gods of Egypt. He went on kind of a Facebook rant about the critics who review his movies. And now this is a film that's getting slammed for whitewashing, essentially casting white actors in roles of Egyptians. And I haven't seen the film, so it's not the type of movie I would go out and see. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Right.
Maybe eventually I'll catch it on cable or on an airplane flight, if it's showing. It's just really not the type of film that excites me enough to go to theaters to see it. So I can't be the judge of whitewashing. I've heard some actors, I think it's Jamie from Game of Thrones is in it.
Oh,
And he's,
okay.
he's yeah, he's one of the people they're saying that's like, oh, but we're playing gods. We're not actually playing Egyptians. So it's okay that we're white. So that's the argument. So I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. I want to get
Right.
into what his specific comments were about critics. And again, this is a minefield because what are we going to do later on in the show? We're going to review and critique a film, and we do that. And so it's really a weird subject, but I think he's got a couple interesting points. He says, lock a critic in a room with a movie no one has ever seen, and they will not know what to make of it. Because contrary to what a critic should probably be, they have no personal taste or opinion because they are basing their views on the status quo. Now, just that point right there, I would say mainstream critics, for the most part, I think he's nailed it.
Oh,
I'm not going to say all critics. I'm not going to say all critics because he even goes on to say how much he respected Roger Ebert and how he felt that Ebert was against that kind of mold. So he's not even saying all critics, but I think he's saying the majority of mainstream critics. I think there is a hive mentality there. I think a lot of the reviews you read of, these movies tend to be the same fucking thing.
Oh, I agree with you
You know,
so much on that. Yeah, I agree with Proyas too. I do think that there's a lot of truth in that statement about critics not knowing what to think of something that might challenge them. If we're going to follow the Roger Ebert path, Roger Ebert didn't get David Lynch until Mulholland Drive. He
Right.
did not like David Lynch at all until Mulholland
Right.
Drive. And then after that, it was like it had clicked in his head. And the next movie, Inland Empire, which is not one of Lynch's best, Ebert called it, a masterpiece.
because he got it. He understood
He
it.
understood it finally, yeah. But this whole idea that these guys can watch a movie one time in some kind of, in a press screening and then go home and give it a numerical or a star score or something like that, it's just absurd.
It really
It
is.
really is, yeah.
I mean, and a lot of the movies that we focus in on
Right.
happen to be movies that we've watched and many times and rewatched. And we're doing analysis of these films as they exist over time. I mean, the basis of our show really is rewatching a film. Does it hold up to when we were younger, when we loved it? I mean, that's kind of the basis of it. Now, we do review new films, right?
Every now and then.
And
Yep.
I from my personal standpoint is when I review a brand new film, I try to avoid as much as I can outside influence. Even to the point where it's like if someone texts me, it's like, "Oh, I saw this film. It was awesome." I try to rub my eyes out with soap or something to try to forget what this person just said because I want to try to be as little influence as possible. It's impossible. It's impossible to not be influenced by what goes on, and I'm one of those people that I try to go into a film with open mind, whatever. But if there's hype over something, it's saturated nonstop. You have a certain level of expectation when you go see that film,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and expectations can really hurt you. Because if you go into a film with very high expectations and it doesn't live up to it, you're automatically that film sucked. It's, on the other end, I went into Deadpool with extremely low expectations, very very low, right?
Yeah.
And I would say I enjoyed it that much more. You know, I didn't think it was the greatest
Right,
thing since
right.
sliced bread. I didn't think it was complete crap. I thought it was somewhere in between.
Yeah. No, I get you. I remember, man, this was a long time ago on AOL or maybe Talk City. There was one of those chat rooms that a critic would come into, like every Wednesday night. It was some critic from the New York Times, and I can't remember his or her name, but I remember at the end of the chat that we asked about Titanic because it was all over the news at the time. They were shooting Titanic, and he just went, or she just went on this epic rant about how I can't wait to see Titanic bomb because James Cameron's such a sexist piece of shit. And that's a critic.
Yeah.
Going in with that mindset. I mean, they do not exist in a vacuum. They do not exist in this little bubble where the outside influences keep them honest. They don't. Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. And Titanic, it did all right at the box office, as I recall.
It was pretty good. It's
Yeah,
pretty
it
good.
did all right.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Proyas is a little bitter because his films are getting shit reviews. I can't really comment. What other films has he done? Do you know, other than Kings of Egypt, Gods of Egypt?
Crow, Dark City, iRobot. that one future telling the Next with Nicolas Cage. Was that what it's called? Next?
I don't know, but
Yeah.
I tell you, when I saw Crow, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in a while, but it was one of those films that I think probably still holds up. I'll throw that on the list. Dark City. I was blown
Oh
away
yeah.
by
Oh
Dark
yeah.
City.
Me too.
I think Dark City was a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant film. So you know what? That makes me like this guy even more because I honestly, Dark City is such a brilliant film that it. You know what? He's even more higher up on my list. I'm gonna
Yeah.
try to get him on the show.
Oh, there
There
you
we
go.
go.
Yeah.
Let's try to get him on the show. Talk about Dark City because that'd be cool. I love Dark City.
Oh, I do too. I do too.
Uh, Something you did not love, Abe.
Oh, I knew this was coming.
You finished watching Fargo season 2,
I did.
and you were not pleased. So if
Not a-
anyone hasn't watched the show and plans to, I suggest just unplug your headphones for just a few minutes so we can talk this out. Abe is going to tell me his issues with the show, and I'm going to tell him why he's wrong.
Well, first off, I want to say, I got to preface this just like Proyas says. I liked Fargo season 1. I really did. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I mean, there were callbacks, of course, to the Coen brothers' other works, but I was totally willing to roll with it there. But then we get to season 2, and aside from Mike Milligan, I was not a fan of season 2.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few reasons, but I'm really going to focus on just one: those goddamn UFOs. I mean, I get that Hawley at this point is totally just strip mining every Coen Brothers movie for material, but that UFO tribute to the man who wasn't there, that does not sit right. It's such a superficial tribute. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen The Man Who Wasn't There, but I'm pretty sure, as I recall, Billy Bob's like having a dream sequence or a hallucination. He goes out into the prison yard and he sees like a flying saucer over there. He looks at it and turns around and goes back inside. It's like a rejection of the unknown, or maybe a rejection of like a Deus ex machina that would like help him get out of prison. But the aliens in the Hollyverse version of all this stuff, they have an active and immediate effect on the plot. Totally different. This is a tribute without understanding what you're paying homage to. Without the aliens, Ed and Peggy wouldn't have been sucked into this whole story. Without the aliens, it looked like Bear was going to kill Lou. Without the aliens, there wouldn't even been a season 1 of Fargo, because Lou would have been dead, and what's her name? Molly's mom would have died from cancer. So the whole entire Hollyverse now is dependent on aliens interceding. It misses the entire point of why aliens were in the damn The Man That Wasn't There in the first place. If Holly was doing like a Citizen Kane series, it literally would have been a quest for a sled. That's what I think about it, and it really pisses me off.
That's fine that you think about that. I just disagree. I think that the whole fact that you're integrating these aliens in this spaceship is just, it's part of this absurd humor that is the whole series is based off this absurd humor. If you think about it, none of this stuff is remotely possible from happening. And the fact that it's happening in this small North Dakota town, all this violence, all this blood, all this gore, all these gangs, everything is happening. Why not aliens? So I from my point of view, it's like, this is just so absurd. It's an absurdist comedy. Let's throw this in. And I had no issue with it. I thought this season was really great. I thought, as you mentioned, Mike Milligan is probably the best TV character I've seen in ages.
Yeah, he was
so amazing. I thought that whole family was good. The guy from Burn Notice, with the kind of face, he was one of the gangsters.
Yes.
I liked him, and I thought he was fun. Dude from Parks and Recreation, with his whole that was a big time Lebowski reference, right? A big time a callback to John Goodman and Lebowski.
It's
right?
just at this point, it's just throwing shit in willy nilly.
I don't know.
He doesn't care, and he can say it's a comedy all he wants, but I'm really disinterested to see what he does next now.
Well, you know what he's doing next, right?
Fargo season 3. Maybe it'll be about a hula. It'll be a hula hoop.
He's doing Kurt Vonnegut's Cat's Cradle.
Oh, okay.
So I'm very interested in seeing that.
Yeah.
And I'll enjoy that, and I'll tell you that you're wrong for disliking it.
Oh, I'm not going to watch it. Holly's
Oh, you will.
Holly's on probation now,
You
as far as I'm
will. You
concerned.
will watch it. I will make you watch it.
Holly's lost his goodwill with me.
All right, we have a great show lined up this week. We're going to be talking about the kick-ass action sci-fi film Predator. After that, we're going to air an interview I did with actor Bill Duke, who co-starred in the film. Abe was not there for the interview. It was just me.
That's right.
We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we will get right into this. Stay tuned. Hi, I guess we're back.
We are back.
Right. Welcome once again to the Movies and Stuff show. Talking about the quintessential 80s action film Predator. The film follows a group of mercenaries who are on a mission in a jungle and find themselves being hunted by an alien creature. See, theme.
I see how you tied it all together now.
This creature that we call the Predator.
Yep.
I saw this film as a kid. I loved it. Amazing. When did you first see it? What were your thoughts?
Man, I saw it pretty early on after it's on video. Pretty early. In its
VHS.
run. Yeah, yep. I'm pretty sure, but I can't 100% say it was my first R-rated movie that I ever saw when I was like, 10 or 9, whatever. Really good stuff. I loved it. I was like, it was quite an introduction to rated R for me. Like,
Oh yeah,
that's how it's done. Brutal.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. We're talking about like R-rated Renaissance, no, I mean nothing compares to like Predator. Honestly, I'd say after my rewatch of it, I personally think that Predator is a flawless action film. No complaints. Seriously, I think it's great. It's got action, sci-fi, horror elements. It has it all. It is the best action film that I can personally think of. Like, it's so great. Am I overstating things here? Can you bring me back down to earth?
It's really good. There's a little film called Terminator 2 that's probably still the best action film ever made.
I do love Terminator 2.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against that. But these are
might have me that. Yeah.
Yeah, these are so good though. You're right though, because Predator just somehow masterfully just jumps through each of those genres. It's amazing how well they did it.
I agree. I think, again, what Predator has over Terminator 2, and I'm not comparing the two, but it would be the more horror elements. It's more of it's paced like a horror film, especially in the second half of the film when the actual Predator comes into play. Because I mean, this movie, I'll get into it a little bit later. It's almost like two worlds. It's almost action, and then it's the second half.
Right.
The hunt, if you will. Again, like I think there's just so many great elements to it that we're gonna break it down. We're gonna break down this whole film piece by piece. But you're talking like great cast of characters that we'll talk about. Just great visual effects. I mean that classic Predator heat vision. That feel in the swamp. You felt like you're in that jungle. You just felt like you were there. Before the Predator even shows up and stuff's going crazy, and I loved like so much about it. And one of the funny anecdotes of this film too is 48 hours before Arnold Schwarzenegger's wedding rehearsal dinner, Jesse Ventura teased him about his nuptials.
Yeah.
And that often like ruined takes, and McTiernan, the director, was just not amused. And Schwarzenegger ended up missing the final preparation for his wedding, and Maria Shriver was really pissed off about it. And in his mind, he thought the film was more important than their wedding.
It was. Turns out it was. Yeah.
So, overall, just great stuff. And I think one of the things that just makes it so great, and I think when you talk about like how you rate a film, right? Like think about like what a critic does. And of course there's so many things about it. I think one of the aspects of it has to be rewatchability. Am I going to sit down and be able to rewatch this again and enjoy it again? I think that has to be an element to every critic that talks about a movie is, am I going to rewatch this? And this movie is incredibly rewatchable and it's incredibly quotable.
Oh yeah,
You know,
that it is. Yeah, that it is.
here's a few of my favorites. I wrote down a few. Uh, Dylan, you son of a bitch. What is this fucking tie business? Arnold throws a knife into someone and says, stick around.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's a great one.
He kicks down a door and says, knock, knock. Perhaps I'd say one of the top three most memorable. Get to the chopper.
That's one of the greatest ones ever. Yeah.
Arnold, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
That's it right there.
Arnold, you one ugly motherfucker. Good one. Now let's get to some non-Arnold one. Jesse Ventura. I ain't got time to bleed.
I love that.
Good one.
I love that.
Bill Duke talking to Carl Weathers. You give up our position and I'll bleed you. So fucking good. And then the last one I have written down here is Billy. There's something out there waiting for us, and it ain't no man. We're all gonna die. Just so quotable. What's your favorite? Is it?
You hit them all, I think, except for when Jesse Ventura says, "I ain't got time to bleed." The retort is, "You got time to duck." I love that one. That's good. Yeah, that's my favorite line in the way it just kind of makes fun of that overly macho stuff at the same time as being cool as shit. That's why I love that one so much. Yeah.
If it bleeds, we can kill it. I mean,
that's like a philosophy of life. I mean, that's just like perfect right there. Yeah.
I think there's like a Predator the musical, and I think that's like a big musical number in it.
Oh, you sing us.
If it bleeds, we can kill it. If it bleeds, we can kill it. It's our musical episode of movies and stuff.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. So the movie is called Predator.
Yes.
45 minutes into this film was the first time Predator killed someone.
Yeah.
67 minutes into the film is when we actually see him. Right?
Right.
And in the beginning, you get the sense that the Predator is here because you kind of see the outer space.
Right.
Before you see,
shows.
And like I imagine the Predator kind of leaving his house and kissing his wife and saying, "See you after my weekend hunting trip," you know? Like that's kind of how I imagine it. Like, all right, baby, I'll see you later. I'm gonna go kill some humans.
Right.
But prior to the Predator kind of showing up and killing things, it's just this badass action flick. It shows a bunch of, just really awesome mercenaries fucking shit up in a hot ass jungle. You have that raid on the other mercenary camp. You got Jesse Ventura blowing shit up with that minigun. You have just great music score, the audio editing. It's so spot on. It just brings you into the action. So I guess my question is the Predator even needed in this film? Would it have been just fine if it just continued what it was doing in the first half?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would have worked as that kind of would have become like a political thriller with like
I guess so,
Carl Weathers kind of being the government man, and I mean, it would have been interesting to see. But obviously, the reason we love this movie so much is because it takes that 90-degree turn right there. Does Norman really need to kill Marion Crane in the shower? No, it could have been her running with the money, but it takes a movie and just really elevates it to a whole different level.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, it was a rhetorical question. Of course, you need the Predator in this film. It's great. Before the Predator shows up, it's a great action film. But as I mentioned before, once Predator shows up, it morphs into this awesome horror film. It morphs into this kind of like, chase thing. It's all about the hunt. It's all about Arnold then becoming the hunter, hunting the Predator, hiding in the mud.
Yes.
So awesome. Emerging from the mud.
That's just badass.
Probably one of the most memorable film moments of all time is Arnold like emerging from that mud.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Oh. It was clay, right? It wasn't just mud. I mean, it was more like
it was his clay. Yeah.
Clay to help block the heat.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Just phenomenal stuff. The Predator itself is really a badass villain. Like in the scheme of like Aliens, it's got a great design.
It does. Yeah.
You know, it's so good. It's so well designed. It's scary as shit. And I think they had an original design that just wasn't working, and they brought in uh, yeah, I think the dude that worked on like Terminator and like all these great things, and just basically said, okay, just redesign
We
this
have to
for us.
redesign it because yeah, no one's gonna be afraid of a chicken or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
like a lizard chicken type thing,
Yeah.
you know. Uh,
Which would have been a whole different kind of movie, but yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's you know, what's amazing thing about this movie too is there's a lot of politicians in this film, right?
Yeah, there is.
Because Arnold became governor,
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Bonaventura was governor, and I think the
Right.
guy that played Billy ran for a couple of offices or
Oh,
something like
cool.
that.
Yeah.
So I need Carl Weathers to run for office.
Yeah.
We got to vote Creed. Honestly, he'll make America great.
I don't see why not.
Living in America.
That's how. Yeah, he can just come into every speech like that. Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, like
Yeah.
boxing. Yeah,
Yeah. I
and
want
that would
you.
totally
I
do it.
want you.
You know, as I mentioned though, the cast is just it's stacked with just these film badasses. You got Arnold, you got Carl Weathers, and they have this awesome like arm wrestling scene. You know, where they're like, you know,
Yeah.
and Bill Duke though, Bill Duke for me, and I'm not just saying this because he's the interview that we are airing. I think Bill Duke is probably my favorite though. He's just got this badass vibe in the movie. He's the one guy that really I don't want to fuck with. He scares the I'd rather fuck with the Predator than Bill Duke,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. And once you know Jesse Ventura's character dies, like Bill Duke kind of loses his fucking mind, and he's got the fucking shaving thing.
Yeah.
So fucking good, and I also love that Shane Black was in it. And the main reason that Shane Black was in this movie is they wanted him around in case they needed him to rewrite
That's so funny
the
because
script.
in my mind, Shane Black's always linked with the Predator, but it has nothing to do with his writing. That's what makes it so funny. I've always assumed that Black wrote it. You know, it
Right.
wasn't until I went back and relooked that he had nothing to do with it. And now he's going to be doing the remake or the
He's
sequel.
gonna be doing the remake, yeah, and you know
Yeah.
he actually he was writing The Last Boy Scout while he was working on Predator. He was writing The Last Boy Scout, but they wanted him on set to help with script rewrites and just in case, so they cast him in you know a role to do so.
Keep your friends close.
Nice bit of trivia, and we get
Yeah.
into this a lot more in the interview with Bill Duke. Is Jean-Claude Van Damme was originally cast to play the Predator.
I remember hearing that.
Yeah, and Bill Duke has a great anecdote about it. So
Nice.
I'm gonna save
Nice.
that for just listen to that because it's a great anecdote.
Yeah.
Um, let's wrap up. Let's wrap up our Predator talk here. Let's just talk
Okay.
about the best part of the film. You know, I mean, honestly, this movie's like loaded with best parts,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
it's tough to pinpoint one.
Hmm.
You know, because I love it when the Predator makes its first kill, and then Ventura and Bill Duke just start. They see him and start shooting like crazy, and it's such a terrible waste of bullets, but it's so awesome.
It seems very 80s right there. Yeah.
You know, what about you? Anything? What is your favorite part?
My favorite part is when Arnold, you're just as you talked about, when Arnold is coming ashore, and he's just pushing back and back and back because you think he's. I mean, at that point, there just seemed no way you can beat the Predator, and it just really got into it to see how the hell Arnold was going to get out of this because he's literally trapped at this point.
Right.
It was. I remember as a kid, that was the height of intense moments for me up until that point, and it was just so cool to see. That's my favorite part.
Off topic,
Oh,
kind of on topic.
okay.
Does Predator 2 diminish the legacy of the Predator, or does it enhance it, or does nothing?
It kind of diminishes it a little bit, I think. I really do. It turns Predator into more of a B movie, in my mind.
I'm a fan of Predator 2, but my
yeah.
issue with it is Arnold versus Danny Glover.
Yeah, It is so weird how they did that.
And I like Danny Glover too, and he of course was in action films. He was in Lethal Weapon and stuff like that. But I just see him as, the boyfriend in Royal Tenenbaums, and I was like, this guy can't kill a predator. I was like, Bill Duke can kill a predator,
Right?
And he couldn't.
Yeah.
Carl Weathers could kill a predator, and he couldn't. Got his arm sliced off,
Right?
And then impaled.
Yeah. It's a B movie. I hate to say it. It's just not on the same level as that first one, and it does kind of diminish the Predator. Of course,
After that,
we knew. Yeah, it was just straight downhill. Yeah.
I do have a comic book, Batman versus Predator. It's actually pretty neat.
I remember seeing that short film.
Nice little crossover. It's actually the short film was actually pretty good too.
Yeah, it had Boner as the Joker.
That's right. He was very good. He was very good. That was really good. I forgot about that. Yeah. That was when Batman was in dark times, and people were like, "This is the kind of Batman we need." And then Christopher Nolan did what he did, and now Ben Affleck is Batman, and everyone's like, "Ben Affleck's the greatest Batman ever." After when they first heard that, Ben Affleck was playing Batman, like, oh, this is gonna suck.
Yes, people are fickle. There's no doubt about it.
Do you know what the body count was in Predator?
Oh, no, I don't. I'm not.
69.
Yeah, I was thinking all of a sudden all the other people. Yeah.
69 humans, and most of them were at the hands of Dutch Schaefer. 69. And you also have one scorpion, one boar that Bill Duke thinks is a predator, but is actually a boar, and then you have one predator. Of course, that doesn't make it. Spoiler.
Oh, shit. Yeah. And they killed a lot of plants.
Oh yeah,
that's
a lot of bullets.
That's a pretty big carbon footprint right there.
Dan. That's not good. Not good. You're not going to win the left vote with that treating of the environment there.
No,
it's not going to happen. Bernie Sanders is crying right now.
Yeah, well, it's Super Tuesday. I'm sure he's going to be crying.
I'm sure it is. Do you have anything else to add about the Predator?
No, I can't. It's a fantastic 80s movie. It's It's what we talked about on the debate show. They don't make them like this anymore, but they might start making them like this again.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah.
And, maybe we'll get into this, but 80s action, as many misses as there were, the hits were just so freaking good. We're going to get into the misses. We'll talk about the misses, but the hits were so good that there's no comparison between 80s action and 90s action. None whatsoever. So just let that sink in there, folks. You got Predator, and then you got The Rock and Face Off. And I like those. I like those films, but you got Predator and The Rock and Face Off. I'm just going to leave that there. That's going to do it for the Movies and Stuff show this week.
All right.
Stay tuned for our exclusive interview with actor Bill Duke. If you're joining us in the live chat, keep hanging out here, as we're going to be here too. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit us up on Facebook and Twitter, and just keep hanging out, man. If you come over and just BS with us, it's really fun, so we enjoy it. Abe, final words.
I'm going to go ask Noah Hawley for an interview.
Probably not going to happen.
Yeah, probably not. All right, man. Talk to you later.
Bye. Joining me now on the show, actor, director, writer, and producer, Mr. Bill Duke. Bill, thanks for taking the time to chat today.
Thank you for having me.
Our main topic of the show today is Predator, and it's easily one of the best action films ever made. You played a character named Mac, and Mac is just one hell of a character. I mean, you threatened to bleed out Carl Weathers. How did you approach this role in terms of how you wanted to play this character?
Well, I wanted him to be somebody that was a serious soldier, that was a dedicated member of the family of the team, and was totally committed to the job, which was taking out this creature that had done damage to other elements of our force. but was not prepared for the size of the task, or we just thought that these were a bunch of rebels that we had to take out, and that was just the beginning. So I wanted to play somebody who had the courage, but at the same time was aware of his mortality in the face of this predator.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. You can totally see that. And I think one of the iconic scenes for your character, too, is the one where he's shaving and the razor blade breaks off. And I think that really encompasses what you're talking about. Was that in the script, or did you add that in?
No, I added that in.
That's great.
It was something that, to show his commitment, and everything at the same time. All these guys know they're going to danger, and that they could not, whether it's rebels or whatever, there's no guarantee you're going to live,
Right. And another favorite scene of mine with you in it is when you take Blaine's minigun and you're just emptying it into the jungle after the predator, and you're one of the only people that's able to actually injure the predator at that time. What was your most enjoyable scene? What scene did you enjoy doing the most?
Oh, there were so many of them. That was one of them. But also, really at night when I'm alone talking to the sky about how I'm gonna be the predator, once I catch him. I'm gonna make him pay for it, because it shows my caring for my partner Jesse, and
right.
at the same time my commitment to taking this thing out.
Yeah, it's so great. Now, the shoot itself was kind of difficult, though. You guys were in in Mexico, and it was brutal conditions.
45 out of Mexico. We're talking about spiders. We're talking about coral snakes, one bite that can kill you. We're talking about scorpions that bit certain of the actors. We're talking about heat, and I'm not exaggerating, 102 or 3 degrees, humidity. One of the things that was, it's not funny, but it is funny. We're in the middle of the jungle. We're up in the mountains of Puerto Vallarta. You got to drive 45 minutes from the hotel up into this encampment, and there's no railing. In other words, there's the cliff that you can fall down if you drive off of it. And then there's the side of the road to the left. And so it's a careful drive. And the first few days, since you're in the jungle, the craft service guy puts netting around the tent because he's trying to keep all the bugs out and everything. And so the first 4 days, we get our food, and every day there's bugs in the food, and we rebel and say, hey, take this crap back, what's your problem, or the bugs in the damn food. But the fact of the matter is, he was doing his best, and there was no more food. So on day 5, we called the bugs protein.
Which is what the soldiers would have done, too, in that situation.
It was real. It was real, Another story I was going to tell you that this is, I don't know if you know this, a lot of people don't, but maybe your audience does. The predator you saw was not the original design.
Right.
It was a much smaller beast, and they decided that they wanted, they were, that was going to be very ambidextrous, several lasers, etc. Well, the person that was playing, the stunt guy was playing that part, since he had to wear this felt suit covering his whole body in 100 and some degree weather, and he had passed out 2 times going to the tree.
Jeez.
And the second time because he was in trees on wires and all kinds of things. And the second time he passed out, Joel went up to him and said, listen, I know you're doing your best, but the fact of the matter is, if you pass out again, I'm fine. Joel, what are you talking about, man? I'm dehydrated. I can't. Joel says, if we're wasting time, money, you pass out again, you get fired. So another week goes by, flying through the trees, etc. The guy passes out. They'll look at him and say, "You're fired." That guy was Jean-Claude Van Damme. You probably heard that story before, right?
I've heard that story. I'm not sure how many people have, but it's yeah.
Yeah. It was his first job in this country, and it was, and he and I became, friends on the set and stuff, and assistant. But that's a story that I never forgot because he became famous after that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it would have been nice for him to be in Predator, sure, but he had a pretty good career after that as well.
That's right. I think he did well. He did well.
He did very well. Are you aware that there's a Brazilian spider named after your character?
No.
There is. There's a genus of goblin spiders, and they're called the Predator unops, and one of the species is actually called Mac Elliott.
Are you serious?
I am serious. You have a spider named after your character.
I don't know how to celebrate that or say what.
And if you actually,
Thanks for the information.
if you look up the spider, you can see why it's called the Predator. Its face looks just like the Predator does with the mask off.
Wow.
So
maybe they designed it after him. I don't know.
that is the origin of the spider named after Mac Elliott right there. It's pretty amazing. A couple weeks ago, we actually did an episode dedicated to Commando, and we had David Patrick Kelly. He was our guest. And now, in that movie, you and him were the bad guys against Arnold. But in Predator, you got to team up with Arnold. Was that more enjoyable, being on Arnold's side as opposed to going against him?
Yeah, because in Commando, I'd let him beat me up because that's what you're paid to do. No, it was. I love both roles. But Predator for me was, we became a family for those months that we were together in the jungle up there. And after Puerto Vallarta, we went to Palenque, down where the pyramids are.
Mm-hmm.
An historical place that has actual Egyptian pyramids that the Indians there at that time had built. And we went to the pyramids and saw them. We were amazed. And that's where a lot of the jungle stuff, the most intense jungle stuff, happened, the waterfalls and everything, because it's a beautiful spot, and it's really touched. And so we became a family, put it that way.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's one of the best casts in an action movie, from top to bottom. Just so many great actors, so many personalities, and it's really was just top to bottom such an amazing cast that got put together there. I'm amazed that it happened. It's you talk about 80s basketball teams and you look back and see how stacked these 80s basketball teams were, and that's kind of what Predator was with the great stars and action people, and it's really amazing.
And 2 governors came out of it.
That's right, and almost another politician came out of it too. So when are you running?
No, I don't think that would be a good idea. So I stay as far away from it as possible. But John McTiernan is a great director, man. He's a great visualist, and also he works with actors. So that was a pleasure working with him.
Yeah. Now, I mean, you've done a bunch of roles that were kind of law enforcement related, but I mean, you branched out. You did Leon in American Gigolo. You did, the bad guy in Commando, Abdullah in Car Wash. You even played Trask in X-Men: The Last Stand.
Right.
Was it tough to avoid being typecast as kind of a big, tough cop every time?
It's very difficult. I'm a tall, black guy, dark-skinned, Hollywood sometimes sees you as threatening or whatever. So you're given these roles of authority, that kind of thing. I've always tried to transcend that, but it hasn't been easy. That's one of the reasons I left acting, went into directing, producing more, and writing, because I could, really express my creative self in platforms. And I'm invisible behind the camera, but I can still talk about and get involved in topics I want to get involved in.
Right, right. And I mean, you've been doing directing. You did TV directing for many years, and then you took the
Yes.
jump into directing movies. Were there any directors that you worked with that you really kind of felt that you learned from them and it helped you become a better director?
I think that the one that really impacted me probably the most is John McTiernan. I mean, he really, I've never seen anybody work with their DP the way he has. They tied at the hip, telling stories. Also, a great director. You know who Sam Fuller was?
Mm-hmm.
Sam Fuller and I became friends, and I'll tell you a true story. I just got an AFI. I made, a small film and so on, and he took me to. I met him at the in Belgium Film Festival with my film there, and called The Killing Floor. He loved it, and he said, "I'm going to get you, bring you to the Cannes Film Festival." And he did, and years after that, he cast me in one of his films. And in AFI at that time, Tony Valiant, great teacher, taught you very strict rules in terms of directing. Like the camera, wherever it is, has to be after the master, has to be from somebody's point of view that's in the film, right? And so I was working in a scene where I was interrogating this person, and we were doing the scene and rehearsing. We come back, and Sam puts a glass top on the desk where I'm interrogating this guy, right? And so he then takes the camera and puts it under the desk. And I'm like, wow, great Sam Fuller doesn't know the rules? Are you kidding me? So after the scene is shot, I go up to him and I say, Sam, all due respect, I said, AFI, we were taught, after the master, wherever the camera is from somebody's point of view, it's like they're in the film, it's their point of view, except it's a two-shot or something. And he looks at me and he says, "Yeah, man, you're right. The camera always has to be from somebody's point of view. And guess under the desk whose point of view it is." He says, "My goddamn point of view. Okay, it's my goddamn point of view." And it changed my entire perspective of directing because, I never had a point of view before that. I was always very technically, involved, but my point of view is as equally important as the actors. You know what I'm saying?
Right, absolutely.
He taught me that.
That's awesome. And speaking of your point of view, you directed the documentary Light Girls, and that just aired on OWN a couple of months ago. And it's much like your previous documentary Dark Girls. It addresses how colorism affects women. What inspired you to make those documentaries?
I think the suffering of women that I've seen in my life, black women who struggle with identity based on beauty standards that they're never going to meet, and my family, my sister's dark, and seeing her struggles, and my niece. And I really wanted to give a voice to the voiceless. And now with the Dark Girls book that's available on Amazon or in Barnes & Noble. And, young girls are still being bullied today. I mean, in the films, as you can see, this colorism, which is racism in the black community, is not going away, and it's global. I was in Ghana, Africa. One of the highest selling products there in terms of cosmetics is skin bleach, which is incredible. In India, Indian men are the ones who are getting their skin bleached because if you want to marry a woman in an upper class caste system, if your skin is dark, it means you work in a field. If your skin is light, it means you work in an office because you don't get any sun. So this is a global phenomenon in China, Korea, Africa, the Caribbean, Brazil. It's a global issue. And it's all about self-esteem. What they're saying is God made a mistake of some kind, I guess. And so the beauty business say you got to look to the stand and women drink the Kool-Aid. And from their hair to their makeup to their body shape, they try to meet these standards, and they're never going to meet them. And so I wanted to make a film that, addressed this issue, because I've seen young girls in my family, I've seen other people suffer because they always think they're not enough.
Right.
And they're fine. The way they were born is fine. But if the schoolyard tells you you're ugly because you're too light or not black enough, and then somebody else in another schoolyard tells you you're too black or you're whatever, and the irony is, of course, I say this all the time, is while black women are debating their beauty standards, white females are spending 2 days a week in tanning salons, darkening their skin, getting their hair crinkled, Botox in their lips, and getting butt lifts to look more ethnic. Don't you find that a little damn ironic? It's absurd, right?
It is. It really is. But it's fascinating. It really is, and it was great. It was a great documentary. It's glad to see. I appreciate you on the screen. I think one of my favorite roles of yours is Payback. I love you in that movie. It's such a cool character. I mean, but Mac is my all-time favorite role you've done, and it's probably my favorite role in that movie. Just so cool. And after Jesse Blaine dies, you see something just leave him and something change, and it's just it's such a great role, and it's great to see you on screen, but knowing that you're doing stuff behind the screen too makes me happy. As long as you're having a voice out there and doing things, it's just really cool. But to wrap up, you'll also be appearing in a film called Restored Me, right? And that comes out next month.
We've heard rumors, but we don't really know, to be honest with you. So,
okay.
Some of the people are in it, and I think just hope that it does something, and we'll see what happens.
Great, very cool. But Bill, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. It was great, and Predator. It's one hell of a movie. I'm glad that you did it.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you for your support, and tell your people to please go to Amazon or to Barnes & Noble to pick up the Dark Girls book. It's a tool to let young girls know they're beautiful, okay?
Awesome, man. Thanks a lot, Bill. Take care.
God bless, brother. Bye.
Bye.